All right. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Experience More podcast. Pumped and excited to have each and every one of you guys joining with us here this evening because got a special guest here tonight. And honestly, this is an individual, whether he knows it or doesn't know it, someone that I think is a great embodiment of really what I think a lot of people are ultimately looking for today. The individual is father of 4 kids. He's got 3 girls. He's got a little boy. Friggin', awesome. Awesome to be able to see him go through and raise him and get him involved into the outdoor space. He is an individual who, I don't know a lot of his backstory, so you guys are going to be able to learn it all through, like, as I'm learning it as well, which is going to make this a really, really cool episode, I believe. But from what I've noticed and seen from the far, and really, our first encounter was like 5 years ago, and us being able to build a relationship, get to know each other over the last 5 years comes from the Drury Outdoors community, family, and just getting to know those individuals as a whole. But I just from knowing him, he's an individual who is very meticulous, very detail orientated, just from the questions he's asked me, the times he's come up to First Form headquarters, and I could not be more excited to be able to have my man Jared Lurk coming in to the show to really allow us to get to know him a little bit better. So appreciate you being here, brother.
I appreciate the very thoughtful introduction, and the feeling is actually mutual. I have a high degree of respect for you and obviously the organization you work for and everything that I've learned about you and your colleagues and comrades there. Just a high degree of respect. So the feeling is certainly mutual, and I look forward to the next however many minutes or hours we're doing this thing.
Yeah. Well, I gotta say too, I'm just kind of to not interrupt the show, but just kind of go on it. One thing that I definitely take into a great respect. We're sitting here, of course, 8:30 at night, and I literally just got done running a 5K. My legs are heavy. I did trip and fall coming down into the basement, but my wife was wondering what was going on. But the fact that you just I was like, hey, let's do 8:15. You're like, hey, do 8:30. Spend some time with the girls and that. I really appreciate that. Because it means a lot to them. It means a lot to me for you to be able to do that.
Family first. There are a lot of priorities in this life and everything, but you got to carve out some time on a daily basis for family first.
Yeah.
I'm a big, that's one of my key tenets or core principles, values, and behaviors is family first. And particularly those little kids. I can't remember how old your daughter is now, but
yeah,
there's a couple things I'll say about children, which you didn't ask, but I'll get into it anyway.
Yeah.
When we had Eloise back in 2009, a VP that I worked for, who I had a high degree of respect for, and oddly, I have kind of his job now. But anyway, 16 plus years ago, he told me 2 things: nothing harder, yet more rewarding than parenthood. And that's a testament. Nothing truer has been said about kids. And really important, and why I started this whole diatribe, is kids really mark time for you. Because I don't feel 16 and a half years older than when he told me those things 16 and a half years ago when Eloise was born, but 16 and a half years passed and she marked that time for me because I feel about that same age as when he told it to me.
Yeah.
So spend time with your kids.
Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartely. That's my wife and I, you blink and you miss it kind of thing. And and it goes and you put in such a time warp, especially with, some of the things that I do within my career and that, to where it's traveling on the road and it's like a week goes by and come back. I'm like, oh, you're a whole different little human. Like, what? Dude, I know, I think I told you this before, maybe I didn't, but like there was a moment we were going through and we were having, a little their-daughter conversation and everything back and forth. And I said something and she's like, shh. And she brought her little finger up and she's like, shh. I was like, shh, me? What? You shush? No. That's not what we do. But it's the cutest shit in the world. Time warp.
Raising girls, it's a different kind of love, particularly if you lift weights, you go outside, you hunt, you harvest animals. Like, raising girls is a different kind of love. And Ben Rising told me that, well, I guess 16 and a half years ago. And he was right. And somehow I was blessed with, or cursed, whichever you want to look at it. But I look at it as I was blessed with 3 of them because I'm not necessarily a girly guy, if you will. It's very easy for me to raise my son. It is very difficult and gets me outside of my comfort zone to raise 3 strong, independent, beautiful young females.
Yeah, it's awesome, and
Yeah.
it's cool to see how you integrate them into your life. Of course, and everyone's different when it comes into like social media and that. But of course, like if we're not neighbors, right? But it is a way to be able to see how you involve them into your lifestyle, right?
Yes.
So it's cool to be able to see those pieces. But kind of going off that and getting into really some of the questions I had, kind of leads right into it. Is for everyone who is listening, because if people don't know you, I know for individuals who do, they probably know you from the hunting community side of things, different episodes, things throughout Drury Outdoors, and really, I mean, if they follow you through social media and that, of course, from what I've seen, like just the overall land management, the things that you do behind the scenes. I know even within your bio, like you do the farming aspect of things. Give everyone who is listening just kind of like, I guess, a background on you. Like, who is Jared Lurk?
So I'll start with the end, which is I'm still a work in progress, and I'm a work in progress on a daily basis. And every day I try to get a little bit better than I was yesterday. And if you do that on a daily basis at the end of the year, you've made some significant progress. And at the end of a decade, you've made tremendous progress.
Mm-hmm.
Who I am, I always say I kind of grew up dirt floor poor. My dad was a construction laborer who worked his way up to be a superintendent of a pretty big industrial construction company in St. Louis, Missouri. My mom is a third grade teacher. She taught third grade for, I think, 37 years. And we had a humble beginning and humble roots. And then at the same time, though, my mom is a Drury. So Mark and Terry Drury, she's their oldest sister. So I don't have the Drury last name, but I do a lot of Drury stuff. And their dad, my grandpa Ralph, was a huge family first individual. That's where a lot of that comes from. Our entire family.
Yeah.
It's in our DNA. Well, whether it's in your DNA or not, he ingrained it into you. And family is the most important thing. So that's a little bit of who I am. And I came from small town America. I'm a little bit older than you and likely a lot of your listeners.
Mm-hmm.
When I got to college in 1996, which was not all that long ago, 30 years ago, I'd never been on the internet before. Small town America, dirt floor poor, like it was a foreign concept. So in the last 30 years, it's almost like if you were born in the 30s and you saw the Wright brothers take their first flight, and then 10 years later, you're flying to Europe. Like that's the type of transition I've had. So anyway, family first. And then I grew up on the periphery of Drury Outdoors, and I always wanted to be a part of it. It was something I wanted to do. Mark and Terry have 5 or 6 nephews. 2 of them are my brothers, but I stayed with them and I stayed committed to it. And I was Mark's volunteer cameraman in 99 and 2000 and learned a whole lot that way. The outdoors was very important to me, but at the same time, science is also really important to me. And I liked school and I wanted to help people. In 96, I mentioned that college thing. I left Bloomsdale, never been on the internet before, and moved to Kansas City. And where I'm from and what my parents knew at the time, they might as well have moved me to Siberia. Like that is as far west in the United States as they had ever gone at that time. And when they dropped me off at college, I saw my dad, who was a Marine and one of the toughest individuals, strongest, toughest, most disciplined individual you're ever going to meet. I saw him cry for the 3rd time in my whole life. And I thought, wow. But I was also 18 and I thought, I'll figure it out. And I walked back to the dorm and I figured it out. So I'm passionately pursue family, science, which right now, what I do for a living is make medicines that treat cancer, not cure it. We can cure early stages of cancer with oftentimes surgical removal and some medicines, but I treat stage 4 metastatic cancer, specifically prostate, pancreatic, and head and neck cancer. That's what I do full time. And then part time in the periphery, you see the Drury Outdoors thing and really the outdoors land management. I'm a big fan of being outside, feeling the sun on your face, and experiencing everything that the outdoors has to offer. That's a long-winded way of that's kind of my story. And I'm still a work in progress on top of all those things.
No, well, I love the fact. I mean, being in that position, of course, you said kind of earlier, you took over a role of like your VP or your, the individual who is in front of you there. Like, one, I just respect the hell out of it because you're not just an individual who's ultimately sitting in a tree stand 365 days out of the year, right?
Right.
Like, I guess for, of course, you're working a full-time job, a very important job, right? Like, I feel like that's sometimes people's excuses of why they can't do the things that you ultimately are out there doing. Like, to those individuals, what do you kind of say when it's like, hey, if you're wanting to do these things, you're wanting to maybe even have the land, maybe you don't have the land, or get out hunting, do these, like that kind of stuff. Like, what would you kind of say to those individuals?
I try to say it as nice as I can, but like focus on the positives, autocorrect the negativity, audit your leisure time and mobilize some of it. Like at a bare minimum, there's more state ground that you can hunt within an hour of St. Louis than you can shake a stick at. So you don't have to own your own ground. Like I actually grew up hunting government ground, killed my first turkey in Mark Twain National Forest in St. Genevieve, on government ground. And Mark and Terry Drury were my uncles. And by the time I killed the turkey, I'd already released 3 turkey titles, but they weren't going to come take me turkey hunting. I had to figure it out myself. So what I tell those people is like you can do it in a, literally it's up here. That will be my answer to almost every question you ask. It's right here. Like your mind can either be your prison or your power, and figure out which one you want it to be. And whether you think you can or you can't, you're correct. So just don't make excuses and figure out how to get it done, not how not to do it.
Exact, dude. I couldn't have said it better. I have a lot of friends and individuals who I've grown up with. You know, I'm very blessed to grow up in the family that I had, you know, with my dad and grandfather, to where same thing. I mean, we farmed, right? Like nothing was ever given to any of us from my grandfather to my dad. But one thing like my dad would always do, he started going out elk hunting, you know, when he was in college, right? Didn't have the mules, didn't have any of the stuff, like didn't have any clue what he was doing. He just knew he wanted to go do it and decided to go do it with a buddy. And, you know, since doing that, he made it a goal of his that was the one trip he wanted to do every year. And ultimately then bringing me along, and me being fortunate enough to go along at 8, started at 8. But growing up in that, I had a lot of friends and family, and even later years when going to do it, they'd be like, man, that's my goal. That's my dream. Like maybe one day, right? I'd love to do that one day. It's, hey, well, just make the plan. Like one day's tomorrow. Like
I have a quote for that I tell my kids often, and it's simply this: a dream written down with a date becomes a goal. A goal broken down into steps becomes a plan. And a plan backed by action becomes reality. So that I just summarized kind of what you were saying. Like just write it down and do it. Execute on it. Like make it happen.
Yep, exactly. That the time's going to pass regardless.
Yep.
And you'll spend the money regardless. Like whatever you're doing. Like there's always, if you don't write it down, you don't make the plan, you don't put the date on the calendar. That's the simplest thing you could possibly do, is just put that date on the calendar and just, all right, reverse engineer that goal, right? So we have, I guess, let's dive into, so kind of got the career background, of course, within the hunting side of things. Let's talk about family, man. I know you got the 3 girls, little boy, Henry. I mean, that's just watching you go with him and taking out fishing, hunting. Again, I know you're going to, some of the answers to these things, but how do you do it when making time for the kids, getting them out? And, is that, it's different than when you just went out by yourself, right? Yeah. Like how has having kids changed you in the outdoors and in your hunting and everything that you're doing?
So a couple things. You don't really understand unconditional love until you have a child of your own. Like I remember when I dropped Eloise off at daycare for the first time. I was 31 years old, and I called my parents and thanked them. It took me 31 years to thank them for what they did. Like I was a grown ass man at a doctor of pharmacy. I'd been working for 5 or 6 years, fairly successful career, had a few acres I owned at that point, and I finally realized it and called and thanked them. So how do I make time? I realize my girls have probably figured out sooner than my son. There's a dynamic difference between boys and girls, at least in my family. But I do all of these things so that one day I'll take that phone call and they'll be like, thank you for all that you did for me. And the big deal, I prioritize it. Like it is important to me for them to understand what it's like to be able to shoot a gun, take an animal's life, but most importantly, why? Like the background, the genesis, why is that? Well, it's in our DNA. 1,000 years ago, if you weren't an effective hunter, your family didn't eat and you starved. And we're the same genetic makeup we were a couple hundred years ago. Like I heard a cardiologist say this about a decade or so ago, and it's true. Our genetic makeup in the last 200 years has changed 0.1%. Our diet in the last 50 years has changed 100%. Like we're not eating what our parents were when they were our age. It's changed dramatically. So I said all to say this: it's in our DNA to hunt, and it's important for me to introduce all of those things to them, not force feed it to them, but introduce it to them, and then they decide if they like it or not. And I have yet to introduce somebody to the outdoors that hates it. Like they all love
Right.
it if you do it in the right way. And that's important to me. Not just my kids, but then what I call my kids adjacent. So they're friends. Like my buddy Henry has got his best friend is also named Henry, oddly enough. And his parents are city folk. And it's important to me. I take him when Henry Lurk and I go fishing, I take Henry with us and he goes fishing. And then this year we're going to go bow hunting and he's going to crossbow shoot a doe. And that's important to me to introduce new folks to the sport. It's just something I like doing. And make time for my kids too.
Well, I think going off of that piece, I guess diving a little bit deeper with there, like how important do you think it is for us who have been fortunate enough to grow up in it, right? Grow up hunting, have that, like how important it is for us to get other people involved or to do those kind of things?
I am a strong believer in you should be able to pass it on. If there's somebody receptive and wants to do it, and we were extremely lucky to grow up in a family like that. Like my dad's dad did not hunt. He farmed like sun up to sundown. And then after he farmed, but my dad liked it. He bought some ground early and you remember the first deer you took, you remember the first turkey you shot. I remember the first mule deer, the first moose, like it's like burned in your mind, like indelible ink, permanent marker. It's important to pass that on to folks that weren't as fortunate because I've yet to run into somebody that then doesn't get hooked. And that's what I hate everything that happened during COVID with the exception of people went outside. Families started eating together again. Like buddies I went to farm school with called me up and like, hey, we got into hunting because we didn't have anything else to do during COVID. And we're asking points and tips and they love it. They're dyed in the wool now with regards to that outdoor lifestyle and love shooting a turkey, catching and filleting fish and a whitetail, and then preparing that for the family. That's the full circle thing. Is if you do it right, it's all very, very good to eat and good for you.
Yeah, I agree with you in the fact of COVID and everything that happened there is just, yes, you saw more people get out, right? Like more people and people realize like, I'm really not in control of what's going on. And like, I guess it showed people how little control they had over their life and maybe how dependent they were on the government and their job and everything else that ultimately showed up in, written right out there for them is like, I don't know how to do these things, to where it made them, to your point, the DNA is calling like, okay, I need to be self-sufficient in these things.
That's just it. Like my wife and I had a conversation and she got worried, like what happens if, early on, I have 2 COVID stories and then we'll get off that topic because I hate the whole process of it, but I look for the silver lining. And she was like, what if the grocery store runs out of food? What are we going to do to feed all these kids? And I was like, look, I've got a skill set that we're not going to go hungry. We're going to have more protein than we know what to do with if it comes to that. Don't worry about it. But my real story, and that's to your point, like people I think realize like, what happens if there isn't something to eat at the grocery stores? How do I feed my family? And they figured it out. Then the real beautiful COVID story I have is right when it hit March of 2020, John Morris, arguably one of the most successful Missouri businessmen and one of the most successful businessmen in the country. He was talking to my Uncle Mark and he said, Mark, I don't know if I'm going to make it. He had just bought Cabela's, mortgaged the farm and his kids' like everything, and just bought Cabela's. And he goes, I don't know if I'm going to make it. Then Mark talked to him at the end of that year, December of 2020. He had him up to hunt and he goes, Mark, I couldn't have been more wrong if I tried. We had the best year we've ever had in Bass Pro and Cabela's history. We sold more of our top end boats than we've ever sold in our history. And we sold more weights and fishing hooks than we've ever sold in their history. And we sold everything in between more than ever because people were forced to go outside. But my point to that is even John Morris, who was in his 60s at that point, very accomplished, had hundreds upon hundreds of stores, owned Cabela's and Bass Pro. He didn't know and thought it was going to sink the ship, and he couldn't have been more wrong if he tried. My point to all that is you just really never know. Let time flesh itself out.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's, to your point, find the silver lining. Like what is there? What is the story you're telling yourself, right? It all comes back to the mindset, right? Everything behind, like no different at first form. Like everyone's like, we're not sure how this is going to go, right? What we're going to ultimately do. But I mean, pivoted. I mean, we were doing at home workouts on Zoom. And like our whole thing was like, how do we just give it back to the community? How do we go through and take care of people? People are stuck at home. They're doing different things. How do we connect? I think, it's where it's the beautiful piece that ties in the fitness to the outdoors and everything is like people are community driven, and the outdoors is a phenomenal community of individuals. And there's people out there who want to get other people involved into the outdoors. They want them to be able to experience those things and what it's like to wake up watching the sunrise as the wood comes alive, right? Majority of people never see that or hear that, right? And it was very cool to see that community ultimately flourish. And then of course on ours and the fitness, health, wellness, nutrition, because at the same point in time, like people, we want them to get active, right?
Yes.
And just pour into people. And yeah, I mean, ultimately everything flushes itself out long term. So.
Yeah. And arguably, because there's a quote I use all the time, and it's get comfortable being uncomfortable. We were all very uncomfortable and didn't know what to do. And the strong survived. My guess is there was a little bit of an inflection point for First Storm. I don't know the actual history, but my guess is because you had to brainstorm and think outside the box, probably the trajectory or the slope of the line of growth increased during COVID when there was a period where my guess is the Frisella boys were looking at each other like, oh, hell, now what? Same as John Morris, like, oh my God, now what? And we figured it out. We improvised, we persevered, and then prevailed. And now we're telling stories about it. And it was 6 years ago.
We gained through the heart of COVID, I think it was close to 170 employees, right? Because it was pour into the people, right?
Yeah.
Like pour into the people, bring people, and then, other companies are letting people go and cutting, and it's like, all right, bring your family, right? And without going further into that piece, it spoke volumes, because in those moments, a lot of times people can just like try and jump ship and, just do everything to lighten load, when the reality is like, hey, it's the saying of the bison quote is like, go into the storm, go head first,
run into
right?
it.
Don't try and run away from it. So
because
it was pretty cool.
Run it. Yep. Yeah,
exactly. So you, of course, like big proponent getting people involved into the outdoors, and of course, Experience More podcasts. The whole press and like the mission behind it when first started is like allowing people to experience more of the outdoors and life with those they love to experience it with, right? Like I firmly believe that the outdoors can not only impact people's lives, right? Because it has impacted mine so much, but I've literally watched it change people's lives to the like individuals you were talking about getting involved. Someone was not brought up in it. What would you say like to one of your friends, right? Who's never gotten involved, or maybe it's not a friend, right? Someone you don't know, and they just don't know where to start. Like where would you tell them to start?
That is a very, very, we could spend the whole podcast talking about that. So I'll instead of drilling into it, I'll bracket back up high level airplane view. And that is all the information you need to succeed exists. Or are you exposing yourself to it? Like start somewhere. If I go full circle to one of the quotes I remember from high school, and it is simply, a man learns in 3 ways. 1 is reading. So find a book and read about it. 2 is experience itself. Just go try it. And then 3 is associating yourself with smarter or more learned people. So talk to somebody that's doing it. It's hard to where you would start, but it's basically find a mentor, read a book, watch a show on YouTube, and then figure it out yourself. I kind of talk about like, I didn't know the first damn thing about being a pharmacist in August of 1996. And lo and behold, 6 years later, they called me Dr. Lurk and gave me a doctorate degree. And I knew more than I do now about pharmacy. Just learn it. What your kids are doing in school or your daughter's doing in daycare, start somewhere and just get started. That's half the battle.
Yeah. So, man, yeah, couldn't have said it better.
There's a
lot of different directions within that piece. Cause that's growing up, like I was homeschooled all the way up. I didn't read a lot. I was dyslexic. Like I remember literally, like this is me learning how to read. I was making clay figurines to figure out like the words right? And it'd be like a clay figurine of how the word the fit into this sentence. And it was usually a tree with a tree stand in it or something. Like I made like a hunting scene of some sort back when I was just a little dude. But I remember those times because they were like, that was a pain point for me growing up. But I mean, it wasn't until college, like, 'cause I just tried to figure out like school and all the different stuff, different in that fact to where it's like, growing up on the farm, I wanted to be out there. I wanted to do things. I love doing things with my hands and, being able to see things change, right? Like whether you're going through and doing a burn in the woods or tilling land, like I love being able to see that process firsthand as it's happening. And, I think one of the most powerful things for me was in, back half of college, I found audiobooks and then got into audiobooks.
Yep.
But then, of course, within first form, getting involved with them, 75 Hard couldn't do audiobooks. I read more books in my first run of 75 Hard than I had through my entire college career. 100%. And it forced me, and this is one of the biggest things, I took a gut check from one of the executives at work, great friend. He was one of my leads when I first came into first form. And, I was supposed to read this book and get this report and everything done on this book. And this is one of the ways we ultimately incentivize like our individuals to earn raises and everything is we have not protein books, but they're all personal development books. Right. And, I was supposed to read X, Y, and Z and not so many pages and then do a report on different chapters and stuff. And I remember doing my little meetup with him and I hadn't read it yet. I hadn't read all of it. Right. And I was like, man, I'm not a good reader. Like it takes me so long to do this. And it was me making excuses in there. And I'll never forget. He just looked at me. He's like, you'll never be a fucking good reader. Excuse my language, but like you will never be a good fucking reader if you keep telling yourself that.
Yes.
And I was like, okay. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Okay. I get it. From that point on, like I don't say I'm not a good reader, right? Like, hey, I'm a better reader today than I ever was back in the day. And going through and doing, and that's where it's like I always felt like I was forced, like if I start a book, I have to finish it. But doing 75 Hard was like, all right, 10 pages a day. Those in the beginning would take me like an hour to go through 10 pages a day, depending on the book and how dense it was. Right. But now it's like, okay, I'll do that in a few minutes. Right. I'll be able to read through those things. And it's getting past to the point earlier you made is like, quit, no different than anything else. Quit making excuses of why you can't and just figure out how do I make it happen?
Yes.
Right. And just go forward with it. Cause that's single-handedly one of the most impactful things outside of like audiobooks and podcasts, other podcasts, personal development podcasts, reading. Sure. It's wealth of knowledge, not just the stuff you're reading in school and that, but like that book has 30 plus years of someone's experience. Correct. In whatever, it could be hunting, it could be personal development, it could be whatever you're wanting to do. Hit myself across the face for the fact that I'm like, why didn't it click sooner? Right. For me. Yeah. It's just,
yes, but it clicked. Like I look at it like it clicked.
Yes.
And that's your story and it clicked and you get it now. Yeah.
Yep, yeah. Exactly.
It's what I started there. Like all the information you need to be successful exists. Are you exposing yourself to it? And then I take that a step further now, like, lawyers study law, pharmacists study pharmacy, physicians study medicine. Successful people study success. So if you want to be successful, find books on success. If you want to be a hunter, there's plenty of them out there. Like I remember 2005, I went on my first caribou hunt and I went to Cabela's in Kansas City and bought a Chuck Adams book and read. And by the time I was done with that, I was like, I was a damn caribou expert and I'd never seen one before. But I read his book and it was all in there. And it was a decade or 15 years worth of Chuck Adams bow hunting caribou. And so I went on that trip. Yeah. Nope. Well ahead of where I would have had I not bought his book and read it.
Right. And it's still relevant today.
I could read it now. I would need to read it now because I forgot everything. That was 21 years ago. So I'd go back and buy the same book and read it again and be like, oh yeah.
Yeah. I love it. Love it. What's your most, in all your escapades and adventures, right, in the outdoors and hunting, what's been your most memorable experience, your favorite experience?
I have two of those. So one is me personally, and then two is when I pass it on to Henry, because I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt the exact story of when I shot my first deer with my dad. Like I can remember it like it was yesterday, and that was, oh gosh, 6 years ago or 35 years ago, something silly like that. Henry's first deer was very, very, very memorable. We get to that in a second. But personally, for me, it was in 2006. I was in a tough spot financially, emotionally, spiritually, had gotten divorced from my high school sweetheart, and my life was upside down. And then I met this deer in Iowa on the Wildlife Eye. You may not even know what those were, but those were, Mark invented something where he literally put he put video cameras inside of a box and it used the same trail camera technology. Like he was 20 years ahead of his time, and we had video footage. So I met this deer and I nicknamed him Hightower. That was in 2006. I met my children's mother, Kristen, in 2007, this deer called Hightower. And I hunted him through this whole process. He was 3.5 years old. We had a daughter in 2009 named Eloise. We had a son in 2011 named Henry. And we had a daughter named Nora in 2013 before I ever killed that deer. I killed him in December of 2013. So I met him. I got divorced, met this deer, met my wife. We had a daughter, a son, and another daughter. And the whole time I still hunted this damn deer and finally killed him. He was 10.5 years old. He scored 187 inches. That's irrelevant, but he was 10.5 years old. And I'll never forget it when I called Uncle Mark. He was like, that deer was either really good at being a deer or you were really bad at being a deer hunter. And actually both of those things were true. And the reason it's so memorable is because I lived a whole lifetime on those 7 years I hunted that deer. Met him at 3.5, killed him at 10.5. And I learned more about big whitetails playing chess with this joker. And I finally caught up to him. And what was so funny is there's 9 or 10 cameramen that filmed me with encounters of this deer all along the way. And then ultimately I filmed myself with a muzzleloader shoot this deer. So it was kind of full circle, but that's my most memorable point in the woods. And that because I learned so much about whitetails by hunting that deer, big whitetails. Like we could have 5 podcasts about what I learned about killing big whitetails because of that deer. What's so funny is there was another big deer that I met in 2015 named Klondike. He was 5.5 when I met him, and I was able to kill him 2 years later because of everything I learned about Hightower. Like it's not, I hate saying it, it's not as hard for me anymore because of those 7 seasons I spent hunting Hightower.
Yeah, I think, well, before you go into second story, is like just the dedication and discipline that comes behind that is, I mean, this is the beautiful thing about, hunting. Most people might see it as like, why would you do that? Because of course people are like, Jake's going out to walk his bow again. It's me with like elk hunting, right? Going out, it's like, I might not get one. It's not just about getting one, right? But to like go that long, 7 years, and to be okay, like, yes, there's trials and tribulations that you go through and like emotional roller coasters of all sorts through it. But it makes it just like anything in life, anything that you had to work for and earn makes it so much more memorable in the experience. Now you have that. That's something like you could have read all the books you wanted in all things of whitetail, right? And it would give you good stuff. But that experience is unmatched. Yes. In my opinion. I don't know how you feel about that, but
it's unmatched. You can't, I could write a book about just hunting that deer, which actually I could send it to you later, but there's we put a YouTube story together on Hightower. And if I'm not mistaken, like it's in the top 5 or 6 most watched Drury Outdoors YouTube videos ever. Cause it was like 600,000 or 700,000 people watched this story. And again, I called it one man's whitetail. It was a 7-year quest, and people there's a lot of critics and everybody will say these things like it was on my 130 acres. So when I got out of pharmacy school, all of my buddies bought cars and houses and all these things. And I bought dirt in Iowa. Cause that from little on, that's what I wanted. My own place to grow and shoot big whitetails. So this deer lived on, in retrospect, he probably only lived on about 40, 10 of which was on me, 30 of which was not on me, which is why he was so hard to kill and hunt, because he didn't literally live on me, but I killed him on that 130 acres that I bought. That was the first thing I bought after pharmacy school. So it was really, really full circle.
Yeah.
And then what's funny is big whitetails don't mean as much to me anymore because of how much time that sucker took to shoot and what I learned. And it was actually a good thing for me. It taught me a lot about myself and discipline. And eventually it was like, I couldn't get over the fact that he was always a step ahead of me. But eventually I figured out how to capitalize on that. And like I said, all the lessons I know about big whitetails, I learned from that guy. So he taught me a lot.
Yeah. Now you get to share it with Henry.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We were tracking, he shot this deer. He shot a 155-inch deer last year with a gun. And I was like, I said, do you understand what you know at this age? Like if Mark and I
Yeah.
knew what you know at this age, and Henry's like, you could have killed them all. I was like, we could have killed them all, right? If we know what you knew at this age, because we had to figure all this stuff out on our own. I know it now, and I pass it on to him, and he's just a little sponge, and he soaks it all up. And what's so funny is there's some things that I told him that I had forgotten that I told him, I'd forgotten I learned, and he remembers, and then he tells it back to me. Like it's impressive what he retains, and some of the things we do in the woods, like he calls the shots because like I trust his opinion. He's 14 years old. When I was 14, I didn't know my head from a hole in the ground. Like I didn't have a clue, and I figured it out the hard way. He was leaps and bounds above where I was at that age.
That's so awesome.
And it's impressive to see.
Yeah, dude. Well, I mean, it's the old saying, apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Yeah,
Correct.
It's true. So with kind of going off of that retrospect, new people kind of coming into it, like what is something you wish you would have known back then, like that you know now, like, and a big, because there's a lot, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But like if you could kind of boil it down to something that really was a pinnacle piece of information or nugget, something you wish you would have known, what would that be?
From
the
whitetail
like
perspective?
from the whitetail perspective, or like hunting in general.
That if I could distill it down to what Hightower taught me,
Yeah.
big whitetails are different than anything anybody else recognizes. Like a lot of people look at a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old and they think that predicts big deer movement. When I talk about stuff about big deer, I'm talking 4, 5, and 6-year-old whitetails. And a 4, 5, and 6-year-old whitetails, if they can actually make it to that age, they are wise beyond your wildest imagination. Like they are uber smart. They know what doe is going to come into heat when. Like here's one simple example. What I learned about Hightower. I had over 10,000 photos of this deer. Like I had 136 acres. I had 12 trail cameras. Like if he took a step on my farm, I knew about it. But anyway, the point I'm getting ready to make is 3 years in a row when he was 8, 9, and 10, he hit the same scrape on the same day within 5 minutes of each other on October the 17th between 2 and 2:15 in the morning on the same day. He came to that scrape. Like I figured out eventually to put a camera there before it was even a scrape, and he came to that same scrape within 5 minutes of the same time period every single year for 3 years in a row. And no doubt he'd done that probably 2 years before and I didn't even know it. I put the cameras there after the scrape showed up, where I eventually learned enough about him to put the camera there. And again, October the 17th between 2 and 2:15 in the morning, 3 years in a row, he came to that scrape for the first time.
That's wild.
They are big old monster whitetails. Those 180, 190 inch deer are a whole different animal that I don't think many people can comprehend.
Yeah, dude.
Like a lot of guys will go, you can get by hunting the wrong wind. The deer don't care. Big whitetails do. Does may not, 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds not. Big whitetails do. Like we were using ozonics at this time, and I remember I had like 7 or 8 does walk right through my wind. A 2-year-old walked right through my wind, and Hightower's behind him. He put his head up and then circled 400 or 500 yards around me, and then came into the field out of range. Like every single deer walked through my wind through ozonics except for him. So the big nugget is big whitetails are a different breed of animal. If they get to 4 and 5 and 6 years old, they're a different breed of animal. That's why they're so damn hard to kill.
Yeah. No kidding. Like everything just has to line up perfectly in that.
Yeah. You got to be almost perfect.
Yeah. That's awesome. It just comes with the experience overall. It's so cool to be able to watch them and just like,
yes.
Go ahead.
The big nugget is don't underestimate big whitetails. Like they are full-time deer and you're a part-time deer hunter. Like think of how bad the weather is just here in St. Louis. Like they have to live outside all the time. They never get to come inside, whether it's 20 below with 8 inches of snow on the ground or it's 110 in August and it ain't rained in 45 days. And they have to live in that all and be adaptable enough to live in that range all the time. Like big whitetails are much, much tougher, and their only job is to survive till tomorrow. That's it. That's the only thing they got to do.
That's awesome. Gives you great respect for them. And then also the individuals who are also able to go through and harvest those deer, right? And be able to make it. And it's one of those things too. Like, I mean, people watch it because, again, like you said earlier, there's different critics and all sorts of things. Like, it's not all just about the big whitetail deer, but it's one of those things where it's like, hey, there's a lot of time, effort, dedication, disciplines that ultimately come into one. I mean, to be able to achieve a whitetail of that caliber, but then especially if you have, like, to your point, have 100 acres, right?
Yep.
Like, to be able to manage a piece of property and to get things set and to know that piece of property well enough to have the opportunity, well, one, to have the opportunity to harvest that whitetail, but also for the potential of being able to grow that kind of whitetail, right? Like, because like you said, you were hunting public land and doing all this stuff, and this where people like come into it and they see all they do, they have it easy, right? Or, oh, they just only kill big whitetail X, Y, and Z. I could do that too. I don't know.
Let's see.
Yeah, we'll see. Like, you could have land, they could be there, but I also know a lot of people who hunt public land and they know a lot and they kill big whitetails.
Yeah.
And it's not just because like they got the land, right?
Correct. There's a skill set involved. So I have a comment about the criticism thing. Like 99% of criticism comes from below you. Like, people are envious and they're looking up. People above you don't criticize down. So like, I take it with a grain of salt. There's critics everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, someone's like, well, Mark's got all this ground, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, how do you think he got it? Like, same with me. He had a goal, he wrote it down, and then his goal was, I want to have the best whitetail farm in North America. And he built it over the last 20 years. That's why it's as good as it is.
Yeah. And building it up. And now he's able to, I mean, the fruits of his labor, literally, right? Like, that is, I mean, in retrospect, the American dream, right?
He's living it. As am I.
He's living it.
Maybe you are too. I'm living it. Correct.
100%.
I grew up dirt floor poor, and I've got enough to say grace over now. And my kids are happy and healthy and getting well educated and learning life, and that's the American dream. Yes, sir.
And that's where it's, if you want, I'm a big proponent on just like the law of attraction, just the energy you put out into the world. Like, you are going to get back directly what you put into the world. If all you're doing is feeling negative about people and you're downing them for their success, like, you're not going to get it. You're not going to see it, right? Like, but I'm always like, man, be the gas man. Like, be the guy that is rooting for the guys out there who are crushing it and getting after it.
Yes.
Be excited for others' success, right? It's just, you're just telling not only yourself and your own psyche what you ultimately aspire to achieve, but you're telling, without even saying anything, you're telling everyone else around you, you're telling the universe, you're telling God, you're telling everyone that ultimately what it is you aspire to achieve. And ultimately that hopefully you deserve that. And you deserve it if you followed it up with the work and the plan to ultimately achieve it. Sorry.
I couldn't agree more. It's like, you get a lot more in life than what you give. And what I mean by that is, like, if you give a lot, I think you get tenfold in return. Like, the universe rewards good behavior. At some point, karma can either be a bitch or your best friend. What's the biblical quote? You reap what you sow. That's it. I'm 100%. a big believer in that.
Yeah. Making a switch in this now, because it's back in my mind, like, because I know how is I guess I want to look how I says, you had said when we came in, did the tour at First Form not too long ago, you're talking with your kids and everything, and ultimately you had made a little comment that had, just kind of triggered me a little bit, is, hey, a lot of what I've learned from these guys, or like Andy or First Form, has, played a big role in, where Dad is today and the way I go through and lead my life. What did you mean by that?
Well, there's a collective of what I learned to make Jared Lurk Jared. And some of the things I learned from Andy Frisella's podcast, the MFCEO project, pivotally changed my life and the way I made decisions. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. No holes in the boat. Go hard in the motherfucking paint. Like, those episodes. The book I read, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that one fundamentally changed how I looked at things. And then the stuff I learned specifically from Andy and his MFCEO project, like, I'm like, why is he has all this knowledge? Why is he even giving it away for free? I never could figure that. Well, I kind of figured it out now, but it's like, I was happy he was doing it. But when I was doing all this stuff in my late 30s and early 40s, I was happy it was there, but I couldn't figure it out. I get it now, but like, it fundamentally changed the decisions I make and then the way I look at life. And I can remember the episodes that I thought, I had my aha moments quite a few times. And what I did is, it goes back to what we were starting with, which is just audit your leisure time and mobilize some of it. At that time, I was traveling a lot and I was away from the kids. And instead of just sitting there looking out the plane window, I listened to podcasts and tried to consume as much information as I could so that when I got home, I could be fully present and a dad and a husband and all those things. But what I
Mm-hmm.
mean by that is, like, some of the stuff I learned from Andy's podcast, MFCEO Project, fundamentally changed the way I looked at life and the decisions I made, and the get comfortable being uncomfortable. And, that when you're innovating around the edges and doing things in the periphery, coupled with hard work and execution and flex your detail muscle and master the mundane, all of those things built up to some of the successful financial decisions I've had, not necessarily at work, but some of the side business stuff that I do that allows me and my kids to enjoy life even better and live the American dream.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
It's a lot of similarities between us as far as that goes too. Because it is, I would say, even you can look at Andy now, right? I think it's one of the lessons that's learned without even knowing it in the moment. But as time goes on, it's that rule of reciprocity of just like, hey, if you get back what you put out,
Mhm.
right? And I mean, Andy did, and has done it for years and over 300 episodes of just nothing but free information.
Yes.
And great information. And a lot of it is, it was always tied together with a mindset piece, right? Of like, at the end of the day, no one's going to give you the permission to go do the things it is you wish to do.
Correct.
You have to give yourself that permission.
Yes.
And I would say majority of the people on this podcast and from conversations I've had, that is one of the biggest things that ultimately they take is like, hey, you already know in your gut, and like your gut's a pretty good, North Star.
Spidey sense.
It's
Yep.
a spidey sense. It's there for a reason. Like your intuition's there for a reason. It's like you already know what's there, right? Like, and what it is you want to do, what gives you purpose, what gives you fulfillment. Like it's there. Just, I believe so many people suppress that. I've suppressed that, right? Like but I could tell, like, when all of a sudden I go do the things that give me purpose or fulfillment, like it's like, why did I wait so long? Just go do it. Right. And a lot of people sit on that and either worry of judgment of others, right? Or worry. I mean, there's multitudes of different reasons and excuses that can ultimately be made, but none to it but to do it.
Just do it. That's it. Yeah.
Just do it.
So anyway, that's what I meant by that. Like, just some of
Yeah.
the stuff I learned from Andy, I actioned on it, and coupled with a lot of the other things I'd learned, and it's fundamentally changed my life, I guess, in a good way from a financial perspective. I took some calculated risks and they turned out okay.
Perfect.
Yep.
What is it? No risk, no reward.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So fitness wise, health wise, what's that journey been like for you?
Yeah. So that one is coming full circle for me. So I want to say my sophomore or junior year in college, like I was in pretty good shape in high school, and then I didn't have to be on the football team, and nobody was, that old Mel Robbins quote, no one's coming. No one's coming to write the business plan. You probably see it on a million reels. No one's coming. And I set a New Year's goal, and it was read more, eat better, and get in shape. And that was 25 years ago. And I'm finally doing it in 2026. I'm finally doing it. And it is so, like, I looked in the mirror in December of 25. I was like, listen, MFer, if you can't give yourself 18 goddamn minutes a day, every single day, then what are you doing? And that's the deal I made with myself. No one's coming to help me. 18 minutes a day. It's not 75 hard, but if you did something for 18 minutes a day, that's 100 hours a year that you're going to far surpass everybody else. So it's like, I can't commit to 45 minutes or an hour here or there, 3 or 4 times a week. I'm just like 7 goddamn days a week. I'm giving myself 18 minutes of pretty significant cardiovascular and then weightlifting training. And why am I doing all that? Because there's more than enough science to suggest the more physically fit you are into old age, the longer you live, the less Alzheimer's you have, the less chance of cancer and all those things. Like, because again, 1,000 years ago, like, work was hard, and you were outside and you were lifting heavy and doing hard things. And that's what I do. And it's, again, could I do more? Yes. But I made a deal with myself to start the year, and I've been pretty successful so far. It's just 18 minutes, dude. And if you can't do that, are you really worth anything? And what's funny now is my kids catch on to it. And Eloise goes to the gym every day, and Henry lifts weights, and then my two little ones will start doing it here again soon. And it's just, I just feel I'm in a better mood. I'm a better employee. I'm a better dad. I'm a better football coach. I'm just in a better mood. And it's just 18 minutes a day. That's it.
Yeah.
And you don't
Dude,
even need weights to do it. Your body's push-ups, sit-ups, air squats.
yeah.
That's it.
It's one of the, I mean, dude, I love e-moms for that reason, right? Like
Every
when I
minute
had,
of it.
when Tina and I went through and had Aurora, like that's what kept me in shape. It'd be 10, 15 minutes, literally just every minute on the minute, 10, 12 reps of whether it was air squats, sandbag squats, anything. I would do it down here in the basement, and I'd set Aurora in her little car seat right down here. And ultimately I'd have to, because Tina would be sleeping for the 15, 20 minutes that she made me get right when we first had her.
Yes.
And I'd be down here doing silent, dead nothing, no
Yes.
music, and just trying not to slam a sandbag, because Aurora would either, I'd have her occupied or she'd be sleeping in this car seat. And but that's what got me in great shape in being, an early new dad in that, because it's so easy. It's so easy, because I started getting into that mode where it's like, oh, well, I'm just going to take her here. I'll just sit with her. I'll be quiet with her.
Yeah.
Dude, when I started doing it, changed though, and I started personally seeing the results. And I've been doing this stuff for years.
Decades, right?
Decades.
Yeah.
And it is literally, it's one of those things like, it's Jake, better. You know better. You know that it doesn't take long. You know that it literally just comes down to little tweaks of portion control and things that you're doing. Like at the end of the day, it's like control your controllables and just move, right?
Yes.
I love that. Dude, 18 minutes is more than enough to be in phenomenal shape and make you ready, to your point, better dad, better at your business, better out at the farm. Any of the things,
all of it,
right?
All of it. And I sleep better I'm just in it's that whole runner's high thing. You're just, and then if you do it long enough, you're addicted to the feeling. And again, I just made a deal with myself, and it's 18 minutes. So, and I do the first form protein powder most days of the week. I'll have a strawberry banana smoothie with whole white milk. And that's my breakfast to start the day.
Make it all. Yeah. If people went through and did what you're doing, like 18 minutes a day, super simple. Guess what? Most Netflix shows are double that, right? So it's like, how many Netflix shows do people watch on a day-to-day basis, right?
Yes.
But
there's no excuse for not being in shape.
No.
There is. Really it's human nature. Human nature's tough to overcome. It's all right here.
Yeah.
Sleep for 8 hours, work for 8 hours. That's 16. What are you doing with you? There's 8 other hours in every single day. What are you doing? Again, Jared Lurk, the deal I made with myself, and I looked in the mirror, 18 minutes. That's all I'm asking. Like you can do that.
It's life-changing stuff. And it goes past that to where it's a generational thing. No different in the deer woods, no different like the health, wellness, fitness, all of it. Like it's like whether you have Henry going out there lifting weights, he sees dad doing it. Guess what? Dad, he's either going to see dad sitting on the couch, being a couch potato, doing that side, or he's going to see dad doing those things. Aurora is going to watch mom and dad do things or not, right?
Lead by example.
Dude, that is where it's the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And it's, I look at a lot of kids and everything out there, like we all have the opportunity to be great. Like everyone's a leader at the end of the day, whether you might think your 9-to-5 job or whoever's ultimately out there listening, like, oh, I'm not a leader. No, you are. If you are a father or a mother,
correct,
you are the ultimate leader.
Yes.
Like, and there's no reason you can't be going through and doing those things. But I love it, man. I'm glad you're going through keeping the promise to yourself, because it definitely makes a lot of those life things that much more enjoyable.
100%. Yeah. Again, I'm 48 years old, going to turn 49. And I still feel like I'm in my 30s because I'm in better cardiovascular shape and fitness and metabolism and all that stuff.
When you were doing your caribou hunt, was that hard?
That was unique. That was not hard.
Unique?
I went on a moose hunt in 2013. So the year I killed the Hightower, the year Nora was born. Don't ask me why, but I went on a moose hunt, and I led up to that one with there's a gentleman by the name of Martin Rooney that introduced training for warriors, and one of my old high school buddies had a satellite facility in Webster Groves, and I went and trained with him. And had I not done that for 6 months before, I wouldn't have made it back from that moose hunt. Like I was not like that Jared Lurk that 6 months before I went and got in shape for training for Warriors, that moose hunt was ridiculously hard. It would have been ridiculously hard, but being in shape, it was doable. Yeah. And then it helps with the positive mindset too. Like you can do a lot more when you feel good physically.
Yeah. No, I believe majority of things out there, and if you have another look on this, like a lot of it's founded in your own physical well-being. Like as far as where you can go, what you can do, what you can achieve. Like if you are in a better physical state, you'll be in a better mental state, which will
Yes.
allow you to do anything and everything else to the
Yes.
utmost of your ability. Like even if you have a shitty job, whatever it is, guess what? If you are physically healthier, you're going to enjoy that job
Yes.
probably better. Your employees or your coworkers, all them will probably enjoy you better in
Yes.
one way, shape, or form. So believe it or not.
Yeah, I don't remember where I heard this quote, but it's like, be the guy who other people look at and say, I'll have what he's having. And literally what I'm having is I drink a lot of water and have a protein shake every morning with first form protein in it. And I just work out 18 minutes a day and that's it. But every day, like that's the deal I made with myself. It's like, don't like my mom's birthday, my birthday, Jesus's birthday, like you're working out 18 minutes a day. Yeah.
Well, I know we've been here for a minute, and I appreciate you jumping on.
Likewise.
Got family. I got family in that. For everyone who is listening, I always love to leave people little nuggets, right?
Yes.
Just little nuggets of information. Um, if there was something of information, whether it's a book you have read, a podcast you have listened to, something that has pivotally, I know we've talked about like the MSCO project podcast but outside of that, is there anything that was life altering for you and your approach to life that you would share with the crowd?
Well, mine's unique, and that is, yes, your dad's still alive, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So my dad died 2 years ago, and there's lots of things that were life altering. That was life altering for me. He was my best friend. I've got two other brothers and a sister, and my dad was the greatest human I'd ever met. And my grandpa, Mark and Terry's dad, was equally, those two were the greatest humans I've ever met. So it was life changing because I wrote and delivered both of their eulogies. And so why I said all that is to say this. Once my dad passed away, I started making decisions, big life decisions, thinking, what are my kids going to say at my eulogy? Like, so that is a very profound way to approach life at the age of 48. Like, if I'm lucky, I have 40 plus more years to go, hopefully. If I'm not lucky and I live to my dad's age at 72, then I have much less than 40. Anyway, it is a very interesting way to live, and that is make major life decisions on what might my kids say at my eulogy. And if you still have your parents, my advice to you is call them and talk to them. Have them over for dinner, because you don't like time is finite and life is fragile. But the parallel to that is there's actually a reel on Instagram that I love, and I actually wrote it down and I'm going to read it. And it's just simply, you've got one shot at this. Why aren't you running like you're on fire to fulfill your wildest dreams? And that's it. Like that encapsulates everything I just said. That one line and that one reel, it's Dave Garizio, I believe. I see it a lot. It's very similar to the Mel Robbins one. No one's coming.
Mm-hmm.
No one's coming to write the business plan. No one's coming to get you out of bed. No one's coming to update your resume. It's on you. This is the same thing. Like, why aren't you running like you are on fire to fulfill your wildest dreams? And I say all that to mean like, don't quit your job and go like, do it all with a balance. Like sleep for 8, work for 8. What the hell are you doing with those other 8 hours? Make a plan, execute the plan. And what I mean by all that is we took the kids to Disney this year. We took them on a snow skiing trip because work is work forever. Kids are only kids once. And I see it right now. Like I say this all the time. Like when I turned 16, I just slept at my parents' house. Like I was kind of on my own. Like there was no location tracker. There was no cell phone. Like when I left, I was gone. And my mom hoped like hell I showed back up. My dad seemed like he could have cared less because he had other stuff to worry about, but that's what moms do. Now
Yeah.
I see the same thing. Eloise turned 16 and she kind of just sleeps at our house. Like she's doing her own thing. So while the days are long raising your kids, the years are short. And it's 16 and Eloise is kind of independent and she's on her own. Henry's 14 and a half. He gets his permit in September, his driver's license a year from after that. And it's not over. It's just different. So run like you're on fire to fulfill your wildest dreams. Make a plan, write it down, action on it, and then accomplish those things and spend the next 30 years of your life doing it. And then it's never too late. Like 20-year-old Jared made a New Year's resolution to get in shape, and 48-year-old Jared did it. Like 2 decades passed and I hadn't been in the same shape I was in high school. I am now, where 18-year-old Jared would be in big trouble if he got in a fight with 48-year-old Jared. 46-year-old Jared would have got his ass kicked by 18-year-old Jared, and that's not true anymore. So again, I made a deal with myself at the age of 20 and a New Year's resolution to get in shape, and 28 years later, I did it.
Hell yeah.
And it was just up here.
Yeah,
Like
dude.
it just took that's a long time to have a New Year's resolution that I never accomplished. And then I finally did, and I feel great.
Yeah.
I feel, I
Yep.
can't emphasize it enough how good
Probably
I feel.
feel on fire in some way, shape, or form.
Yes. Yeah. Like there's probably a little too much confidence. Like I have to throttle myself back. Like, dude, you can't do all of these things. Like slow down just a little bit. But yeah, I do. I feel really, really good, and it feels great. And there was one other thing I wanted to say. There was a period where 5 or 6 years ago, no, 8 years ago, Eloise got really sick. She's fine now. Eloise got really sick. As parents, like, oh my God, like honestly, I didn't think she was going to get to graduate high school at one point. Like she was so sick with a rheumatologic condition. It's a long-winded story to say. She is completely fine now. It's a little bit of a medical miracle. But the point I'm getting ready to make is at that time, I tried antidepressants and anti-anxiety medicines. And again, I make medicine for a living. I know more about medicine than probably anybody else you're going to run into other than another pharmacist, because I am a pharmacist. And honestly, the thing that helped me the most was microfactor. Like that I don't know why, but that at that time when I started taking it cured my situational depression.
That's
So
awesome.
aside from Andy's podcast, I'm a big fan of everything
Yeah.
you all are putting in your products there.
Love that, man. Well, and it goes to show, like, and that I'm glad that product, I mean, you're a testament to the quality of what's ultimately there, right?
Yes.
And it really just shows also the importance of all those little micronutrients. Really,
100%.
at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, we can all hit protein, carbs, fats, do those different things, but those are kind of like I've always looked at it as the raw materials to build the
Yes.
beautiful home you're trying to build, but those little micronutrients are the
Details.
workers, right? They're little details.
Yes.
They're the electricians,
crown
the
molding
roofer.
and
They're
all that stuff.
all the little things, right? They're really
Yes.
the workers that help put it all together.
Yes.
So I love that. I'm glad she's doing good, and you're
She's doing great.
friggin' rocking and rolling, kicking ass. But
Yes, and I hope to keep doing that for a while.
yeah, oh yeah, definitely need to keep doing that.
Yes.
Gonna keep doing that. Not
Again, the whole point of
kinda.
this is 48-year-old Jared finally did something that 20-year-old Jared made a New Year's resolution of. There's still time. There's still time to get in shape.
Yep. But in retrospect to that, and just kind of call out in it is like, hey, do you wish you would have done it a little sooner?
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when I turned 21 is probably, who knows where I'd be now, but
Right.
yes, I
Hey,
should have done it sooner.
But you eventually did it.
To the point now, I do things now. Like there's a Tom Brady kind of quote on Reels too that's like, fuck your tired mind, fuck your tired body. Like do it now. Like the game's going to end. Like do it now. Or later, well, if you do it later the coffee gets cold. Later, people grow old. Later sometimes become never. So hard telling what I could have accomplished had I done this in my 20s and not my 40s. I'm thankful I did it in my 40s, but yes, I am kick myself a lot that I didn't do it sooner.
Yep. Well, hey, we're here today. Friggin' rock
it
and
now.
rolling. Yep.
Yeah.
Do it now. That
If there's anybody listening to this,
yeah, if there's anything you could take from any of it, is go do it now.
you don't have to wait till January 1 to start your New Year's resolutions. Why? Start it tomorrow morning.
So a little bit of an invite, and then I'll do a little
Yeah.
outro piece here, and we'll get you back to the family. But one, on Saturday, we're doing a Run Ruck Murph.
Yes.
If you and the family want to come, you're more welcome to come on down. Love to be able to have you out.
I appreciate the invite.
Yeah, I understand, like family vacations or different things like family stuff. But that's going on. And then also there's, of course, the different 5Ks that we do down at the Good News Brewery, what I had done tonight. So you're always more welcome to come on out to those. So that was,
I'm gonna partake in those invites now.
there you go. All right, rock and roll. But
Yeah.
all right, well, I appreciate you, dude, coming on, being a part of the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, this is awesome. Definitely learn more on my side about you, which I appreciate you taking the time, diving into it.
Likewise.
And honestly, too, I mean, I think this is the coolest piece to it. Like, dude, it fires me up, right? Like, you, of course, very successful, not just in the business piece, but successful in your family, in your life. And it's really, really cool to see that. And for me, being at 36 years old, like, it's just like, hey, because we all can get caught in this mindset of like, oh, I'm not there yet. Right. And that I'm not like, I'm very, very fortunate for where I am and what I am doing in the family I have. Right. But it's definitely very, very cool to be able to hear your story, and allow other people to hear that story too. Cause it's very, it's powerful, right? It's not just a big
Thank
buck
you.
story or a big fish story. Like, there's so much more rooted in it that for me, it gives me the mindset, the motivation to the point you made earlier. Surround yourself with people who are doing the things you wish and aspire to be able to do and or achieve.
Yeah.
Right? Surround yourself with those people. And I appreciate you being one of those.
Thank you. Kids are only kids once. Work is work forever. That's the other thing I'll end on is I've done a lot of cool things. I've shot moose in Manitoba, caribou in the North Pole, record book whitetails. The coolest thing I've ever done has been a dad to Eloise, Henry, Nora, and Vivian. Like, that is by far the most important and the coolest job I've ever had. And I really take pride in doing that one because, again, they're going to be the ones talking at my funeral.
Yep. I love that. Well, under there. I appreciate that because that is, I can't agree more. I'm new to it, but I can
Yeah,
tell you it's
it's
been
all
one
a
of the
learning process.
greatest, coolest rides I've ultimately been on. That's for sure. So again, appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, Jake.
Appreciate everyone who's stuck around listening to the podcast. If you're here, of course, listening, definitely, it's one of those where, hey, if you gained any bit of knowledge, nuggets, information from this, go share with a friend, right? Share with a friend, give the information to someone else. Leave us a comment. If you got questions, especially when we drop it onto the YouTube piece, down in the comments, drop those down there. Happy to answer those different pieces. I will also be putting in the description Jared's contact or his Instagram and different pieces in there as well. Is there any other places, like if anyone was ever wanting to connect outside of that you'd want to add in there?
No, just probably Instagram's the
Best way throughout it. Okay. I'll drop that down in there. And two, if you guys ever have any questions, don't ever hesitate to reach out to me. I'm going on this crazy adventure, no different than each and every one of you guys. So love to be a part of the journey with you. But with that, I appreciate all you guys listening along, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Jake. Appreciate the opportunity. Take care.
Yep. See ya.
Bye-bye.